What's up, you guys? Chet-Guthrie, the Dream Poet here, coming to you all with a very brief statement before the start of this video. And anyway, you guys, as of September 1st, my book, Ghosts and Mysteries of Bradley County, Tennessee, has hit Amazon shelves, or Kindle shelves. I'm not sure exactly what. Anyway, long story short, Kindle, Amazon, Kindle, they're all owned by the same people. Anyway, you guys, I'm super excited. This is my very first self-published book. And anyway, I thought, I would just share it with you guys. You can find the link to this book in the description box below. If you've ever wanted to find a way to support the channel or support my adventures to keep this boat afloat, well, this is a perfect idea. You can give it as a gift to a friend, a family member, or just a book to share around the campfire for this fall season. Because as you all know, haunt season is upon us. It's my favorite time of year, my favorite filming time of year, and you know what? This book is awesome as well. But anyway, guys, I'm going to let the cameras roll. This was a fun vlog to make. It's a really good one, so let those cameras roll now.
In the shadow of Big South Fork River and Recreation Area, the tiny Victorian village in historic Rugby hasn't changed much in the last 120 years. Perhaps that's why some of the spirits of those long departed have apparently decided to stay.
I think when you walk through these historic buildings up here, you definitely get the sense that you are not by yourself.
One of those buildings, the old Newberry House, still open for overnight guests, the scene of many unexplained events through the years. Rugby resident Howard Hafner recalls the day he and a friend were in the kitchen of the house, the only ones there, or so they thought.
We heard children laughing in the front of the house, and both of us heard it, so there was no explanation for these children laughing. And then I asked around in the village, and other people had experienced that same thing.
Well, that nip of fall is finally in the air. It's not too hot, but it's not that cold either. Also, there is a little black cat running across my path. Maybe that's a sign, because today, you guys, for this haunt season vlogging series video of mine, we are in is what to be considered the most haunted town in the United States of America. And that town is called Rugby. Now, Rugby is not your normal kind of town. It started out in 1880 as an experimental colony. It was started by famed novelist Thomas Hughes. And anyway, the idea was to break away from all wealth, all monetary systems, and live in a purely Christian agrarian community. Very much kind of like a Christian socialistic community. And this town, this experimental colony, it was supposed to be a new beginning for the second sons of British wealth. You see, at the time, the British had an inheritance system where if the mother or the father were to die, all their wealth would go to the next sibling, the oldest sibling. And the idea for Rugby was for these men, these families, in a time when economic hardship was at its worst, they would drop all that and they would just move up to the mountains and they would start their lives anew. So Thomas Hughes, he bought about 526 acres, and this is what created the historic town of Rugby. However, this town, it would only last for about 10 years. You see, when these men got up here, they were not accustomed to farming or hard labor. Also, 3 years into the organization of this town, there was a typhoid fever outbreak. that killed about 25% of their community. And well, within about the latter half of about those 10 years in 1890, all this ceased to exist. All the original families that started Rugby, they were no more. However, there were family members from around the area that still dwelled in this area, people that lived in the area, and they called this place home. And for many a years, they kept these buildings safe. They kept them going. And well, in the 1970s, all of this became a part of the National Registry of Historic Places, thus making the historic experimental colony of Rugby preserved for future generations. In fact, there is a historical marker over here, and I'll show it to you guys. Now this explains a bit more of what Rugby was. Founded October 5th, 1880 by noted English novelist, statesman, philanthropist, say that 3 times as fast, and reformer Thomas Hughes, Rugby was named for his English alma mater. The agrarian class-free colony offered new prospects to second sons of British gentry and others. The village featured a church, free public library, school, cooperative commissary, public parks, trails and gardens, a newspaper, drama club, tennis club, and cornet band. And from here it continues. At its peak, it had 350 residents, 60 buildings. As of 2022, 19 original rustic Victorian buildings remain, along with 8 reconstructions. Listed as the Rugby Colony Historic District in the National Registry of Historic Places in 1972, it has been cared for by the non-profit Historic Rugby Inc., a membership organization started in 1966 to preserve and interpret the historic district to the public. So present day, there are about 19 Victorian-style buildings that are here in the East Tennessee area. All of them, all original. There are about 8 of them that were reconstructed. But you have a town that not only does it have a fascinating history behind it, it also has a lot of haunted buildings as well. And tonight, we will be staying in one of those haunted buildings. And it is perhaps the most haunted building here on the Rugby Colony site. And that is at the Newberry House. You see, the Newberry House, from its earliest days, it was the boarding house here in Rugby. Now, multiple deaths have occurred on the site and in the buildings and rooms. And tonight, we're going to stay in what is perhaps the most haunted, the Charles Oldfield room. But before we go into any more depth on the Newberry House, we're going to drive around the historic Rugby Colony and we're going to see some of the haunted sites here on the premises. One of them is another bed and breakfast, I want to say. It has a lot of haunted history behind it, as well as the public library that has been around since the early days of Rugby. And I'll tell you all the stories behind those places. So anyway, guys, let's get to it. Looks like the sun is slowly setting on what is perhaps one of the most haunted towns in the United States of America, Rugby. Now, for this first haunted location, we did not have to stray too far away from where we already were, which was the historic Rugby Visitor Center. Now here, amongst the trees, this is the historic Rugby Library. And this library has been around since the very beginning. And it is also, of course, one of the original 19 that is left here in this town. But there is quite a bit of haunted history associated with this library. You see, it is said that it is haunted by the first curator of this library. And now it's said that he keeps watch over his collection, as some will say, and some people have seen him. Looks like it's closed today, but there are a lot of cool first editions of Thomas Hughes that are here in this library. And another really, really strange haunted account is that people will be driving this road in the middle of the night and they'll see some lights on. And when they go up to the doors, they'll hear what sounds like dogs barking. Now, they think that these animals are trying to get out. But when security comes up or other law enforcement, they find out that this entire building is empty. Like there's nothing inside except for the books. Now, this next building we will be going to, we will not be able to get too close to it because it is still a private property, and that is the Twin Oaks house. And the Twin Oaks house was constructed in 1884 for Beriah and Mary Riddle. Now, as they lived in this house, they hired a wise woman named Matilda, although some cases say she also might have been a witch. But because of Matilda's practices, they say that a portal was opened from another realm. And the house is very, very much haunted and filled with spectral figures of stuff or entities that don't necessarily look human. Now, the Twin Oaks house is kind of hidden amongst these trees, but it's not that far off Boyle Avenue here in historic Rugby. I know we won't be able to see it too well, but if not, I'll show a picture of it. That's what the house looks like. It's one of the bigger homes here in Rugby, but I wonder what exactly like people experience like living in that house. It makes you wonder. And there it is. There is the Twin Oaks house, hidden amongst the tree line. Hidden amongst the tree line. Now, this next story, it is associated with another privately owned home here in Rugby, and that is the story of the Roslyn house. Now, the Roslyn house, it was built for a mother and her son. The boy's name was Jesse, and as the story goes, he loved to ride his horse and buggy down the roads, which looked a lot like this at the time. He would go back and forth really quick. However, as times may have changed and as he may have passed, it is still said that you can hear a horse and buggy running down the road at full speed. Sometimes you can see it, and it's as if it disappears right as it hits the woods. But anyway, guys, now that I've shared a few haunted or a few ghost stories from this area, let's go to where we are spending the night, at the Newberry house. And from here, I'll tell you all some of the ghost stories associated with what is perhaps the most haunted building here in Rugby.
You kind of get an eerie feeling once you go in there. Let's go check it out. All right. Okay.
With our guide, Jordan Hewitt, who works with the Historic Rugby Visitor Center, we ventured upstairs at Newberry House to learn more about another ghostly encounter many visitors have experienced. London businessman Charles Oldfield died in this room more than a century ago while waiting for his wife to arrive.
It's kind of cold in here.
Some say Mr. Oldfield is still here.
When females stay in this room, that if they feel a nudge or they feel a touch, it's because he's checking to see if his wife come back to see him.
So many visitors have experienced his presence, they make time to visit Laureldale Cemetery, where many of the town's early citizens are buried.
I think people hear about Charles and him haunting that room.
Charles Oldfield's grave is there too. You'll find pennies on his marker, placed by those paying their respects.
And now we have finally made it. Now the Newberry house, it isn't too far away from the visitor center, but yet it's kind of tucked away in the middle of nowhere almost. But for some history on this bed and breakfast, well, formerly a boarding house, well, either or, it's been practically the same thing. It started out as a boarding house in 1880, and this is where the families and the second generation sons would stay as their homes were being built. And with seeing many faces, many people coming and going, let's just say a few people have stayed behind hundreds of years later. One of those ghosts being the ghost of Charles Oldfield. He died on the second floor in this room right here. He died waiting for his wife and son to come into the colony. Unfortunately, though, he never saw them make it. And it is said that women that stay up in that second floor room, they have experienced being poked in the middle of the night, or seeing Charles standing over them, watching them as they sleep. Some other spirits that haunt this building. There was a murder-suicide that took place some time ago. And what had happened is a man had wrongfully accused his wife of adultery. Basically, he thought she was having an affair, but she wasn't. And what had happened is he had killed her, and him realizing what he had done, he pulled the trigger on himself. And now it is also said that you can hear the laughs of children in this building, although it seems like they come from nowhere. And some other stuff that I've heard, people who have stayed in the Charles Oldfield room, they have experienced tech difficulties with their phones. For example, their phones just won't work, but when they come outside, their cellular devices and other tech devices will suddenly start working again. It is also reported that a lot of cold spots have been reported. Some poltergeist activity here and there, and again with the disembodied voices. Which that leads me to my next thing. Tonight, we will be spending the night in the Charles Oldfield room. I've got the key right here. This will be the first investigation I've done in a very long time. And I figure, since it's the haunt season, why not do it? And here, we'll go inside and I'll show you the Charles Oldfield room. So here, we'll go inside now. And by the way, you can spend the night in these rooms. It's only like $70, $80 a night, but the max is 2 guests. Now, there are another group of people that are sleeping on the first floor, but for me, I have all this to myself, and I am excited. And here it is. The most haunted room in the Newberry house, where Charles Oldfield died. Let me get this key. And here it is. very much a lovely, or a very lovely late Victorian build. I guess we'll turn on the light right here, just so I can show it to you guys a little bit more. But it was in this room that Charles Oldfield passed away while waiting for his wife and son. And I didn't mention this outside, but the Sarah Walton room, Chris Sumner, who along with my friend Miranda runs Rugby After Dark, they were giving a ghost tour while nobody was here in the building. And here in the Sarah Walton room, the curtains were moving by themselves as if somebody was looking back at them, much like curtains like this. And I believe it is also up here where the children's laughter has been reported. Somebody did had a pretty scary experience in the Margaret Hughes room. From what I understood, they woke up to being shook in the middle of the night. Their bed was being shook by an invisible force. And by the way, there's a bedpan. And now I've watched, I don't really know a whole lot about the Emily Hughes room, but from what I understand, here in the Charles Oldfield room, there is a clock that no matter how hard the maintenance people have tried, it is still broken. Like they've not been able to fix it whatsoever. Now, you might attribute that to, well, being faulty, but then again, they've tried multiple times to fix it. I'm trying to see where that clock might be. I don't really see it. Maybe they removed it. Which brings me to the equipment I will be using tonight. I haven't really used any of this in about 2 years, mainly because I had a really bad experience while I was a tour guide in St. Augustine. And when I say that, something had attached itself to me, and that was not fun. But some of the stuff we will be using tonight, we will be using dowsing rods, or well, divining rods as they are said in some cases, or witching rods, depends on what you call them. This is a spirit box. I'm pretty sure everybody has seen one of these. Turn it on. Well, I hope it turns on. If not, we might not be able to use it. But if not, we've also got Old Reliable. So anyway, you guys, tonight while we are here, we're gonna do a little bit of investigating. And by the way, this is Charles Oldfield, the man who died in the room. So we are gonna wait for the sun to go down. We're gonna wait for it to get dark outside, and we will commence this ghost hunt. Okay, guys, the time now is 8:34 p.m. Central Time. I find it kind of weird that even though we're still in Eastern Time, we're still kind of getting that Central Time. I don't know really what to think about that. I just think we're kind of in between, I suppose. Or maybe it's that technology stuff not working properly. I kind of doubt that's it though. But anyway, guys, we've got the lights off. And the first thing that we are going to use, we've got the EMF. Now we're going to go into the Charles Oldfield room. See if we can't make this light up. Charles, are you here with us right now? Like I was saying earlier today, if you touch it, it'll light up. But if you're here with us, would you care setting this thing off? I think all you really do is you just gotta touch it. Is anyone here with us? Like I was saying, you can make this thing go off by touching it, by setting the lights off, or setting the light off. Well, so far really nothing. Like I was saying, if anyone is here with us, would you care messing with this K2 meter? Like I said, you can set the light off, and all you gotta do is really touch it. Well, you guys, I'm not really getting anything K2 related, so I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put that right there. We're not getting a whole lot of activity with the EMF meter. Light's still on, but we're not really getting anything. But what I'm gonna try to do is, there is something I learned in St. Augustine while at the shotgun house, and that is that you can take a flashlight, and sometimes these spirits, these entities, they can drain the power on a flashlight. So anyway, I'm gonna put that right there. Charles, if you are here with us, can you make that light go black? Or like completely shut it off? Or if anyone is here with us, would you care shutting the light off? Why I say, or as I say that, like draining it, like making the light go dim. Like I said, I hope I'm not being pushy or anything. Like I said, I mean, no harm. I've just heard the stories that you tend to haunt this room, and you do look for your wife and your son, which, by the way, that is really sad. And I hate that, you have to deal with that. Or maybe, I don't know. I said, I'm not trying to be, I don't want to hope, anyway, I guess I just hope that I'm not being intrusive, I guess the word would be, or rude. But like I said, if you can make that light go dim, that would be pretty awesome too. If not, maybe we'll check out still nothing on the K2 meter. Right, if anyone is here with us, can you drain the light out of that battery? Or out of that flashlight? Like I said, no rush. And as I was saying, also, you can mess around with this K2 meter. Like I said, you can mess with the light on that, the electromagnetic frequencies and whatnot. That's why I'm going to leave that right there. Still nothing on that. Well, so far no activity. I tried the flashlight trick, because I've noticed that tends to work pretty well, or at least it worked well in St. Augustine. So far the K2 hasn't done a whole lot. I don't think it's defective. Nope. It is. So, I mean, it's working. I find that kind of weird. Well, I'm not having too much luck, although I will say I feel like somebody's watching me from the Charles Oldfield room. Like, you know, like how when you feel like somebody's looking at you? That's how I feel right now. But anyway, we're gonna break out the dowsing rods now, and maybe we'll see if we got any luck there. If there's anyone here with us, we mean you no harm. We are just curious. If someone is here with us, can you please cross these rods? Like I said, no rush. We mean you no harm. I guess really we're just curious. If Charles Oldfield, if you're here, can you cross these dowsing rods for me? Or these witching rods, I should say. If anyone is here with us, can you please cross these rods? Was it you that was hiding, or you that was in the window earlier this week? If anyone is here with us, can you please cross these rods? Well, not really getting a whole lot of luck there either. If anyone is here with us, can you drain the light out of that battery or out of that flashlight? If you can kill that light and make it go dim, that would be really, really awesome. If anyone is here with us, can you please shut that light off? Can you make it go dimmer? Just a little bit dimmer. Little bit dimmer. Can you completely drain that battery or kill the light or the flashlight? Not gonna lie, it's pretty creepy with all the lights off. And the people downstairs looks like they're having a good fun time. Still nothing. But it is said that Charles, he will poke people in this bed right here. I believe he'll shake it too. Or at least that's one of the stories that I've heard. Still, it's not like we're really getting anything, really. But I'll keep on trying. If anyone is here with us, I'm going to knock. And if anyone is here with me, can you knock back? If anyone is here with us. If anyone is here with us, can you light this thing up right here? At least it's pretty dim and quiet. You know, I'm kind of wondering if something may have happened here, because I did bring my Bible here with me, and the couple downstairs that are staying here, I heard that the lady was reading scripture and praying. I wonder if that eased things. I mean, that could be another possibility. Because in that case, if that is the case, well, it's probably why we're not really getting any activity. But I will still say, guys, this is still a really interesting paranormal experience. Even if we didn't get anything. But this still is fun, though. Well, you guys, that is my investigation for tonight. We really didn't get a whole lot. I'm a little bit surprised. I thought we would get something. If you all see anything in the photos that I took, let me know. I didn't really see anything, but you can never be too sure. Anyway, all in all, this was just a very fun experience. It has been, I'd probably say, about 1.5 to 2 years since I actually investigated. I mean, technically, if you consider the Reed House, or the Reed Hotel, I guess, down in Chattanooga, that really wasn't much of an investigation. But we really didn't get anything. A little bit surprised. But anyway, you guys, remember, don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell icon. Always means a lot. Goes to show that y'all care. I want to see more awesome videos like this. So without further ado, you guys, this haunt season vlog is over. Real quick, I just now got home from rugby, and I will just say, after the camera stopped rolling, a lot of activity happened. Like, for example, throughout the entire night, I could hear a booming sound, like as if somebody was slamming their feet against the floor. And I'm not gonna lie, you guys, but I woke up with the bed vibrating. At 2 a.m. in the morning, I was awoken by my bed vibrating, like I could feel it vibrate. And I heard some other things that are very common with that room. I still hate that I wasn't able to capture anything with my equipment, because I've seen people that have, but that's so bizarre. At the moment that I shut my camera off, that's when the activity happened. But anyway, you guys, don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell icon. Always means a lot. Goes to show that y'all care. Now y'all want to see more awesome videos like this. So without further ado, you guys, this haunt season vlog is over.